really important that more people could actually see courage in their own lives. And for me, in that place of absolute desperation and depression, I was incredibly courageous just waking up and getting out of bed every day. I had so much fear and pain I was dealing with, and to overcome that, I think it needs to be more normalised that actually you should be able to see the courage you exhibit in your day-to-day life. Just doing these uncomfortable tasks, that takes courage.
Today's guest is my dear friend Tom Parish, veteran of Royal Air Force, where he spent 9.5 years as an aircraft technician, divorced, lived off the grid for a year, and now a transformational life coach, coaching since September 2023. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you so much for having me, Anita.
So, Tom, wow, what a career difference. So what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
Wow, I really love being asked this, because I think the stereotypical answer people expect me to give is something about, oh, I've been to a war zone and it was very courageous when I did this. But for me, the most courageous thing I ever did was chose to live in alignment with what was valuable and important for me. So it felt like in those moments of maybe wartime, there was things that were going to be quite painful to come up against, well, maybe even death. But when I was able to be courageous and live in alignment with my own values, that was more of a fear that lingered with me for a longer period of time. The fear of judgment, the fear of being in pain as a result of my choices. So I think the most courageous thing I've ever done was actually several smaller things that added up to where I am right now. So it may have been the choice to go and be plant-based, for example. That's something I did overnight because it aligned with my values. I felt like I want to be healthy, and so I did that. And then the choice to actually get into coaching as well. Never thought I'd be a coach. I thought I was very much an introvert, and this is a very courageous thing for me to even take this step and to fully commit into. So yes, here I am before you now.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And that is courageous for sure. So what took you on your journey of being an aircraft technician for the Royal Air Force?
Yeah, so I remember being in the school system and all my friends were planning on going to university. And I just remember feeling like I need to go and do something. I was quite a hands-on person. I really enjoyed being out there and actually working. And so the Air Force, and specifically an aircraft engineer within the Royal Air Force, was a no-brainer for me. My grandpa had been in the Air Force before me, and it was a career that I was held in quite a high regard. I'm so glad I went for it. I learned such an incredible amount. I had so many life experiences. I travelled to so many different countries on deployments, and both as a result of the income it provided me, I was able to travel. It's a lifestyle for a lot of people, and I think for anyone young, getting into the armed forces is an incredible thing to do. You meet so many wonderful people as well, of all different backgrounds, and having that cultural mash is wonderful. Even on deployments with other countries, meeting other people from different serving forces around the world, yeah, it was fantastic. I don't regret a single second of it.
I bet. I mean, like you say, meeting all different walks of life, the knowledge you must have learned, the value it must have brought to your life, priceless, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. It's something I think that a lot of people nowadays, and they think they want a career, they kind of settle into the one thing. And if it's something as big as the armed forces, it could be a wonderful career choice because you don't have to just be refined as with one particular role. There's always the possibility to gain a commission, go as an officer, or even up into a pilot. That's what you wish to do after. So it's a very exciting place to be in the world.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always wanted my airline pilot certificate. So I've had some lessons and kind of just left it there, really. But yeah, it's exciting. I love it.
Yeah, I've had an experience where I was able to hook up onto the back of a Chinook, and they have a rope troop extraction system. So you have a little harness, and 6 or 7 of your friends get hooked up as well. And one by one, the helicopter hovers higher and higher. You're dangling down by a rope. And it was from that experience where I got to fly around Akrotiri that I felt really compelled to want to do more to do with flying. So I then took up the hobby of paramotoring. So I learned how to
Wow.
essentially fly by myself with a fan strapped to my back. And it's quite an intense experience, and I absolutely love it. And I'm very much looking forward to doing a lot more of it this coming summer with the warmer weather.
Wow, that really is courageous. I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think I'd have maybe the courage to do that. So what took you from the Royal Air Force and to get into coaching, and why coaching is very different, two very different things?
Yeah, this is a very big question for me. It was one that I didn't know the answer to. I never expected to even be a coach. So whilst I was in the Air Force, I got married quite young. And by doing so, I kind of formed an expectation around what my life would look like. I planned for having kids when I was around 30, planned for a nice, long, stable career, supportive family environment. But because I got married earlier, I think my partner at the time expected me or expected us to have children soon.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that really is a real question for me to even ask myself as to, did I actually want to have children? Or was it expected of me to have children? I have three other younger brothers. So I think I came from that family and thinking that, oh, this is expected of me now, like I'm going to be having children. It was only until I did that self-inquiry and realised, I don't think I want to have children. I think there's so much there that I worry about. And I don't want to be negative towards anyone else that is a parent. I just feel like, for me, I feel like I get very overwhelmed and stressed at the possibility that I could be influencing this child and for things to be going badly. So I think what essentially happened was I went away on a deployment and I came back and my partner said, Tom, enough's enough, I want a divorce. And I think that's because I didn't really say that. I didn't say that I didn't want to have children, even though deep down that's how I felt. And that was crushing, to say the least, for me. My whole idea of what my life would look like came crashing down. The foundations were destroyed. It was a really hard period in my life. It was a good 2 or 3 months where I suffered with essentially suicidal ideation. I had also gone through a part of me that went through like a PTSD type symptom from picking up plane wreckage, essentially. Thankfully, I had one EMDR therapy session, and that was incredible. That helped me to disassociate the emotion from the event itself, so that was really good. But apart from that, I didn't actually get any outside help. I closed off to the world. I didn't seek friends or family support. And during that period of suffering, I call it self-imposed suffering as well, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about who I really am, what's important to me, my own core values. After this, I left the Air Force. I ended up moving back to my parents' family farm, and this is where I've essentially lived off-grid. I bought an old static caravan, I renovated it, I got like a log burner, so it's renewable fuel for it. I collected rainwater off one of the local barn roofs next door, got loads of solar panels set up and a battery bank, and that's where I spent the next year and a half or so living. That was, again, further of my own self-development. I spent a lot of time introspectively working on myself, understanding what it is I want from my life, what do I want to create in my life, and what I really look forward to. And during this time, I thought that my hobby, I've always loved cars, thought I would want to set up a car restoration workshop. So I did that. And then I realised I'm not able to connect with as many people as I want to. I'm not really able to help. I feel like I'm connected to this service greater than me. So I essentially, with my help of my partner, actually, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't actually be a coach right now. She was able to help me brainstorm. We had like a session where she helped me write down all the jobs that would be, I think, possible, things I could do or be interested in doing. And once you have that list in front of you and you prioritize it, you put the thing you're most interested in or most excited about, irrespective of how qualified you are, put that right at the top. And you see it in front of you. You see the list of what you thought you would want to do and then actually what you really want to do. It's there at the top in front of you. Everything just changed for me. In that instant, it became possible that I could be a coach. I never considered it before, but in that moment, I was almost becoming a coach. And I felt so compelled, so pulled, like I had this higher purpose to my life, like I could really contribute, have these ripple effects in people's lives. And so that's what set me up. I think within literally a matter of a week or two after that moment specifically, I had moved in with my partner. I'd set up a coaching practice. I'd completed a core counselling skills foundational course. I've also done a trauma-informed course, because for me personally, the trauma-informed part was essential to understanding and helping others, especially
Yes.
dealing with these really deep-rooted issues. And then from there, I've essentially been practicing. I've been on a goal of giving out 100 hours of free coaching to people. I'm 60 hours through that. I've managed to connect with 28 different incredible individuals, and I mean that with the most sincerity. I've never thought I'd meet such incredible depth and capacity within individuals. And even though I've been in the Air Force and met some incredible people, when you really are able to connect with people on this deep level that you can do via coaching, I feel like my heart is so full of love, and it's the most incredible job in the world to be able to share this love with other people and hold space. I couldn't imagine a life that's better than it is right now. It's incredible.
That's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely. I love it. I love it all. Oh, Tom, that's brilliant. And I guess that is why we, after going through our own pain, we come up with our own experiences, and we can kind of help people through things like that. Because I know one of your expertise in your coaching line is helping people overcome past pain. So I can understand why you do that. So tell me more about your practice, your coaching practice, and the clients
So
you work with.
I started out with relationships, because I had gone through this divorce that was horrific for me, and I really saw that the impact I could have would be almost suicide prevention. I felt like I was at that age that was so close to me that I really wanted to help people from that situation. But I very quickly realised that the root of the issue, if I said I wanted to be into relationships, helping people with relationships, so commonly the relationship problems they were having were much deeper than the issues they were bringing to me. And I realised that if I could solve these deeper rooted issues, not only would the relationship part be solved, but their whole life would change. All these other issues they weren't even aware of changed as well.
Wow.
So people might be struggling with what their sense of purpose was, what job they have, their connections with their family and friends, their connections with themselves, with their eating, their exercise routines, all of these things. It's a whole holistic approach. And it felt like I was limiting myself, putting myself in a box or a niche of relationships. I've honestly really struggled with the idea of a niche and who my target client is.
Absolutely.
So, it's a common thing for a lot of coaches, and I really feel that pain. I think now that I'm in a lovely place where I'm just coaching for the love. I'm connecting with people because I want to speak to them. I'm just interested. I'm so genuinely curious about other people's experiences of life, and just to help them see, more often than not, how great and wonderful they really are, because they can't see it themselves. And it makes me feel sad that people can't always see how incredible they are, how valuable their experiences in life have been so far.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's like, even with me, when I generally ask the question, what's one of the most courageous things you've done? And most people start off by saying, well, I haven't really done much. Well, I haven't really, jumped out of an aeroplane. And, it's not about that. Does it mean to you? So I think, like you say, people actually don't see the greatness in themselves.
Yeah, I think it's really important that more people can actually see the courage in their own lives. And for me, in that place of absolute desperation and depression, I was incredibly courageous just waking up and getting out of bed every day. I had so much fear and pain I was dealing with, and to overcome that, I think it needs to be more normalized that actually you should be able to see the courage you exhibit in your day-to-day life. Just doing these uncomfortable tasks, that takes courage.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of my examples I always say. For some people, it'll be getting out of bed each morning. And for some, it'll be, jumping out of an aeroplane with a parachute, let's hope.
Yeah.
So where does the greatest joy come from in your life right now, then?
The absolute honest answer is being present. If I can be present in any given moment, I can't even describe it. I'll give you an example. I used to hate being dragged around, going around like the shopping centres with a partner or my mum. I hated it. Terrible time. That was so and but since being able to be present with myself, I've had one of the best days of my life in a shopping centre. And I never thought I'd be saying this. It sounds great. I've gone flying, I've ride motorbikes, love my class cars, but one of the best days of my life was walking around a shopping centre with my current partner. And
wow.
it feels really surreal. But yeah, just being able to be present, connected with what's actually going on, what you're feeling. So yeah, so I can't really describe it. It's incredible.
Yeah, that absolutely is. I mean, and I think it is. It's about being present and having that joyful moment from moment to moment and not getting caught up with anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those
Beautiful.
stories we tell ourselves, where we latch on from the past, like this happened in my past, therefore this is me. I am now a victim, or I'm anxious because I'm not looking forward to what's going to happen in my future. And
Yeah,
those stories are like limiting us from being truly present. And as soon as we can break down those stories, it's such a liberation.
absolutely. So, what is one of the most important lessons you've learned over your time so far?
It's a really good question. There's so many lessons. I think the biggest one, everything in your life that is really going to be helpful is also going to be simple. Simple
Mm,
solution, 99% of the time, the best one. If you make
mhm,
things too complicated for yourself, you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to stick to it and commit and continue. And it feels like you have to persevere through it. Whereas if it's just simple, effortless, easy, it just naturally happens. It goes from being like an idea to being a habit much more quickly than if
mm,
you have something that's just overly complicated. So I think if you can think of something where you're struggling with in your life and find a simple solution, even if it's just the first step. It's not going to be
mhm,
like, oh, I'm going to take this one step and get to exactly where I want to be. Just take that one step, make it really simple, and just keep doing that. Just keep making things simple for yourself. And before you know it, everything sort of changes around you. Yeah, incredible.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What resources do you recommend, daily tips, tools to anyone that wants to start looking to navigate change in their life and have a transformational life?
So the biggest first step I'd say to anyone in almost any topic is to gain awareness. Just being
Mm,
aware what it is specifically you're looking to improve, change, build
mhm,
on. That is the biggest step. As soon as you understand maybe there's a pattern that you want to change, or there's a new skill you want to learn, that gaining that awareness kind of directs you. Because no one else is more of an expert on your own life than you. You know what you've been through. You know the
yeah.
lessons you've learned from that. You know these experiences better than anyone
Mhm,
else. So if you can understand yourself better, then you're able to take this newfound understanding back into your past to relive some of those experiences from a new perspective. I love doing this in regards to helping clients with it as well. So
mhm,
if someone comes to me and says, Tom, I'm really struggling with this part, I want to feel better about myself in some way.
mhm,
I love to be able to say to them, well, why do you feel bad about it? By doing so, you elicit all of the reasons why they see this viewpoint, and you can then start to actually prove to them that although that might be true and they've got all this evidence for it, you
mhm,
can go back in time with them and start to see how the opposite is actually more true, how they've actually got more evidence for how they are a great person, how they do deserve love, how they are deserving, capable. And it's really wonderful to be able to stack those resources. But I know this is me coming across as a coach, and I like to love to say actually that people, anyone out there, you are the
mhm,
best person to coach you. No one else can coach you better than you. It's it's the work that me and Anita do that enables you to ask yourself these deeper questions, to explore your own thoughts. We
mm,
don't tell you what to do. We don't impose these things in which you need to
mm,
change your life. You do that. You know what's best for you. You know what naturally feels like the right fit. And that's the wonderful thing, I think. So connecting to a resource such as a coach is a fantastic step. Of course, I'm going to
mhm,
say, but there are so many others out there. So meditation for me, that was really important. I
yeah,
really suffered in the past not being connected to my body. I'd say,
mm,
in a masculine energy. I was an engineer. I didn't have very much of an understanding or time with my emotions, very little emotional capacity. Almost had no intuition really either. I never really trusted myself. But
yes,
if you could then connect
mm,
more with that feminine energy, you connect with what are you feeling right now? And
mm,
for me, it started with as simple as just doing some breath work. Breath work for me really connected me in my logical head to how my body is behaving and interacting with myself. And if you can then work from there and start to identify emotions. Like, what does anger feel like? What does rage, frustration, sadness, empathy? How do these things feel in our body? Where do you feel them specifically? It might not always be the same for everyone.
Yeah.
That really helped me foundation. I mean, but then to build up on that, you can go into journaling. Oh my gosh, journaling. Just getting your thoughts out and processed rather than being burdened by them, just to keeping them all in. Because often when we speak about traumas for different people can be as a result of, let's start from events. So if you have an event in your life and you might be with a friend and experience the same event, and you might have found it really traumatizing. It might be a child falling over, and your friend might have seen it from the perspective of, oh, the parent was with them, they had like the hood up, like the child didn't hurt himself badly. But for you, it could be really traumatizing because as a child, you fell over and really hurt yourself. And so just because you experience the same event as other people doesn't mean you experience it in the same way. Your eyes, view of the world is completely different. It's really wonderful to be able to share these perspectives with other people and to understand, actually, you are different. And everyone's so unique. And it's okay. Like, as myself, I'd say I'm quite an empath. I really empathize with people now. Maybe that's more because I've had this foundational breakthrough in my life where I went through that divorce and time of struggle and had to rebuild myself.
Yeah.
But getting to that place now where I'm now more connected with my emotions, I can see that maybe things that other people would say would be a traumatic event for them are even more traumatic for me. And even stuff that isn't very traumatic, you think that's very, what? Why are you worried about that? When I was picking up bits of aircraft parts, I think I was the only person there that probably had the reaction that I did. I kept it to myself at the time. That's probably why I needed the EMDR therapy afterwards. But that for me was traumatizing. But that was because I think I was so empathetic towards the people in that aircraft. I think a lot of other friends there were very detached emotionally from it. I could really see that experience specifically for me being different than it was for them. But going back to what other resources there are, oh my gosh, be careful. There's so many resources out there. So to go back to my previous advice, just really keep things simple for yourself. Try and ask yourself better questions. Try and get to, okay, what do I really want and why is it important to me? And then focus on that one thing. Try not to go down too many rabbit holes at once. I know I'm guilty of this as well. I've got 6 or 7 books I'm reading at the moment. And I struggle to pick one at a time. But yeah, trying to keep it simple is really important.
Yeah. So Tom, you have given us a lot of tools there. What would you say is your biggest takeaway?
You can easily pick several tools that work because there's a lot of tools out there and a lot of them work very well. You only need to look to NLP, just anything in psychology almost, it will help. But if you try and fit yourself into this little box niche of, oh yes, I need to do this one thing and that will solve everything, more than likely it won't. Be open. Be open to the idea that you could be wrong. There might be a better way of doing it. Your experience isn't wrong, but there might be better ways. And that in itself, that openness, can shortcut you to incredible changes in your life.
That's excellent. Thank you, Tom. So where can the listeners find you online? What's your website, Tom?
Yes, thank you. I normally just use tomparish.co.uk. Nice and simple. But you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, I think also Threads as well.
Well, thank you for sharing your courageous journey and deep, insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others. Tom Parish.
Thank you so much for hosting me, Anita. Your time with you has been lovely.
It's an absolute pleasure. So we are all about create the courage to be fearless. So what is your definition of courage?
So my definition of courage is to feel the pain and the fear and do it anyway. To be courageous is to feel it, to see it and understand that pain and that fear, and then to do the thing you know you need to do anyway.